Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
No Socks and myself are going to be sitting down with Bill Parcells to do a Pats from the Past episode.
I'd be intimidated, not gonna lie.
Yeah, you know him though. You have a relationship with him. Because I felt that way. I am not going to be able to join. And
I have to make it about. At this point, I think I can take him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like physically?
Yeah.
Like,
Come on. Like if it came to that.
I hope it doesn't. Hearing him say that, I flash back to when I played high school football.
He's always got to make it about him.
Yeah, what's this have to do with your high school football career? It's funny.
Pudding sharpens pudding.
I didn't look it up, so I don't know if it's true. But everything you read on the internet is true.
It sounds
so.
true.
Bat shit with the CH crazy.
Mike and Evan at 11-5. Nothing to sneeze at there. Good solid record.
How's my ass taste?
Like chicken fingers.
Paul was 9-7.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium. We got a lot to unwrap from this weekend. It was a big weekend here at Gillette Stadium. We had the Hall of Fame inductions of Bill Parcells and Julian Edelman on Saturday, and then the game that we need to unravel on Sunday. We're not going to quite look ahead to the Panthers yet today. That's a turn the page Wednesday. But it's Deuce, it's Evan, it's Paul, it's me, it's Matt, and Alex in the booth. And where do we start? I guess Saturday, right? Because we're going to get to Sunday. Don't worry about it. But I thought it was another good day for the organization. Bill Parcells coming back. First time he's been here since, I think, 2003 when he was coaching. So it was good to see him. Paul.
Is that right? The first time
I think
that he's
so.
actually been here?
I think so.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think so. Matt and I sat down with him. We'll have that content
I'm
out
looking
on-
forward to it.
Yeah, that was fun. And Robert Kraft crashed the party. So there was some good exchange between the two of
Maybe
them.
it's a good thing I wasn't here. I
Yeah.
would have gotten myself in trouble.
That was good. And then, of course, the ceremony. Is Edelman done with his speech yet?
No, he's still going.
Yeah.
I've been hearing that joke.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well, I-
like the Vrabel joke.
What'd he say?
He told him, I guess when he was on EEI, he told him, bro, halftime's only 13 minutes. Tighten that up.
Yeah, but, good for Julian. It's his day. He had like 75 friends and family here for it. It means a lot to him, and that's good to know that it does mean a lot to him. So a lot of old alumni here, which was good to see. And then, of course, the game. Then we get to the game on Sunday. Well, where do we start?
Turnovers?
This is an easy one.
Yeah, frustrating.
Frustrating turnovers,
Yeah.
and that's why you lost.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
you outplayed them for the vast majority of the game and probably should have won the game. I hesitate to use the word deserve because when you turn it over 5 times, you
Yeah.
really don't deserve to win.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if they had only turned it over 4 times, they probably would have won.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
They were the better team. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot.
They were. I shared your frustration, Fred, after the game when we were on the post-game show and you were ready to jump right back out there and you said you wanted to go right back out Sunday. I felt similarly, spending the day, reflecting, looking at it a little bit. I've kind of settled in. I mean, I think there's enough positive there that you have to have some patience, and we knew this was going to be a little bit of a process, and I've seen enough positive on both sides of the ball I'm sitting there last night watching that game, the track meet back and forth between those two great teams, and I said, I could maybe see the Patriots playing this kind of game in a couple years. I think there's some foundational pieces that, you get down that road, maybe you're going to, they're not there yet. And I don't think if you want to cut Rhamondre Stevenson or play Kyle Williams more or play after, I don't think any of those things are really going to make a grand difference and get them to that level that we saw from the Ravens and the Lions last night. But I think what Josh is doing, the good stuff from Drake, some positive strides from the defense, that there's some good stuff there. And again, I think it's about patience and getting Drake comfortable and confident.
I just had a different feeling from that game than I had from games last year. And the difference is that I could see it was so obvious what they needed to do to win, which was obviously take care of the ball. That, I just want to get out there and give it another shot. And we've all had those things where we've tried in the past, whether it's a physical endeavor or a test that you took in school and you didn't do as well as you thought you could do.
You let one get away.
Yeah, it's like, man, I could have done better.
Yep.
Give me another crack at that.
Yeah,
and that's how I felt.
Get away.
Yeah, that's how I felt coming out of that game. Give me another shot at that one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And last year I was like, can we just get the season over? Really?
No, I mean, I agree with that point. And I mean, Evan grinded the tape too. But when you were looking at it, there's just not a lot of positive to feel great about and to feel like you're building some kind of foundation for something better. And look, it's little pieces here and there, and you have to go and find them. But at the same time, 3 games into the season, they haven't gotten rid of all the bad characteristics that made them a bad team the last 2 years ago. And that's going to be a little bit of a process.
Yeah, I just right now I'm process over results for the time being. It's only 3 weeks into the season, only 3 weeks into Mike Vrabel's tenure as the head coach, and at some point we're gonna have to look back December and January and say, well, they averaged 21 points a game or 19 points a game or whatever it ends up falling on, and that wasn't good enough, and different things like that. But when you turn on the film of their offense, I'm just highly encouraged by Drake May and by Josh McDaniels and the way that they're running the offense right now. And the scheme is dynamic. They are catering it to Drake May. They are moving the pocket a lot. They have him in the shotgun a lot. There's different things that they are doing that is very highly encouraging, that if they can just stop shooting themselves in the foot and get out of their own way, that there's just so much great offense that they're putting on tape that I did not see from this team the last, let's call it 2-3 years.
See, that's I agree. And that's one thing that I'll push back on you, Deuce, when you say, we're seeing the same things from last year that kept them from winning games. That's different. The hope that I see on the offense, the identity that I'm starting to see emerge from the offense is not something I saw last year. And that's giving me encouragement and let's go out there and keep working on that.
I mean, I agree with you, but I would still say the little moments that lose you the games are the little moments last year that preventing you from even getting on track.
Yeah.
So those just, I mean, look, it's knowing 4th and 1 where you got to get, and knowing the right play and getting the ball over, 4th and 1, got to have a moment. Good teams, when it's on the line, they make those plays. I agree with your general point. There's positives that I feel like, Drake looks like he is in an offense now that can suit him. I still think they need to really upgrade the talent at the receiver position. I think that is something that now comes to the forefront, that, yes, they don't have a down the field option, but they have to clean up these little mistakes. And to me, look, Rhamondre is the perfect example, because last year he was the poster child for it. 7 fumbles. This game you had Rhamondre with 2 fumbles. So those are the elements I'm looking to clean up from the last couple of years that have spilled.
Did I hear right that he's had 9 fumbles in 18 games?
Correct.
That would make sense.
That sounds
9
right.
in his last 18 games.
Yeah, all the things that Deuce is saying are all accurate. If the only thing that you're worried about right now is wins and losses. If you kind of take a step back and look at the process and the bigger picture of this, which I know is hard to do, like we all watch these games on Sundays, and we all came out of that game on Sunday frustrated as hell that they just lost that game to a team that really, the Steelers just really aren't very good.
Right.
And they lost the game. But when you look at the different things that they are doing, I could see 6 weeks from now that this offense really might grow exponentially. And I just want to give Josh McDaniels his flowers, because they don't really have a ton to work with on offense at the skill positions. And he is basically schemed this offense around the 2 tight ends, Henry and Hooper, and the running backs. And that's how they're generating their offense, is by running it through those players. And the things that they have done to do that, the split back formations when he has 2 guys with him in the backfield, the bootlegs from under center, like these different things that they've done to scheme open guys. Like there's receivers all over the tape, open, all over the place. And like that, I just was not seeing.
So when you see those guys open, are you also seeing the exact time in the pocket where they might be open over here, but he's under pressure over here, and there's no way he can see them?
Well, I'm talking about open and he's throwing to him.
Okay.
Like I'm not
I
even,
see. All right, yeah.
Like I'm not talking about like, oh, this guy was, because I hear what you're saying. Like he's open on the other side of the field, and there's no way that Drake May's going to see him. There's times that they're completing the passes, certainly, but even on some of the incompletions, it's usually not because there's nobody open.
Right.
Like I don't see a lot of dropbacks right now where Drake May is just kind of looking around, and there's nobody open. I'm not seeing a ton of that. And so a lot of that to me, because to Deuce's point about the receiver talent, I think a lot of that is McDaniels. Like, I think that he's doing a really great job of scheming guys open right now and dressing plays up and coming out in different formations and unique looks and different things. Like, they had that split back in the gun that produced 3 huge plays in the game on Sunday. A touchdown to Hunter Henry, a wheel route to Henry, and then another 15-yard play to Henry later on too. That is just good scheme. Like, it's just good stuff. And they're doing it without really a ton of vertical stretch to the field either. Like, there's nothing really going on down the field, and yet they're finding ways to get the tight ends and get the underneath routes into catch and run situations. So I'm just really excited about what I've seen from all that. Now, everything that Deuce has laid out, they still aren't making the winning plays. And that's frustrating, but if you take a step back and kind of look at it big picture, you can see where they're going if they can just kind of get.
No, I agree,
get
and
there.
that's what I see.
Yeah.
And that's the difference I see from last year.
Yeah, I don't want to do a repeat of what we did on the post game and make this a semantics thing. I'm more with Mike than with you and Evan. It's different. I agree with you guys. It's different because last year when they didn't score as many points as it seems like they should have, it wasn't because they were turning the ball over in the end zone twice. I mean, it's pretty clear in this game. You just hold on to the ball a little bit and you score twice as many points and you win the game. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. That's why I don't really think there's a lot of analysis that needs to happen for this game. You turn it over 5 times, twice in the end zone, you're going to lose. A game that you probably should have won, right?
Yeah.
We all agree. I think last year when they had, and they did have, I know people don't remember any of the good games that Drake May had last year, but they did have some games where they had like 400 yards of offense and 20 points. And you looked at the end of the game and you're like, how did they only score that? It wasn't turnovers necessarily last year. It was more an offensive line breakdown, a holding call. Once they got 3 first downs and then all of a sudden they got in field goal range and then they got pushed back because back-to-back holding calls created a 3rd and 25. They couldn't convert and they ended up not scoring any points. On Sunday, it was back-to-back first downs. We're going to fumble in the end zone. Or we're going to convert a 4th down with Drake May making a terrific play around the end, and then he fumbles on the next play, trying to do too much. Like, there are different reasons, but I'm kind of with Mike. It's kind of the same result. And if it happens, like Evan said, 6 weeks from now, you're like, they've cleaned up those penalties, which are a problem every game. They've cleaned up the missed opportunities. They've started to hold on to the ball. Then I'll say, this is different. Mm-hmm. But right now, I don't care why. You don't score enough points.
But isn't
the first game of the year, it wasn't turnovers.
Well, I agree, but
they didn't score enough points.
Extremely important. Like
no.
Because
what I'm
last
saying
year
is
they
until
were
you
on a road to nowhere. Like,
but there's always a why. It's just different. This week it was turnovers.
But
the first week it was inaccuracy from the quarterback. Right? The first week the quarterback was inaccurate the whole second half. This week it was they couldn't hold on to the ball. Last year it was the offensive line couldn't go 3 plays without allowing a sack or committing a holding penalty.
But there's nothing you can do.
There's
about
always
that.
a why.
But I don't remember
until they eliminate the why. I can't just say they're going to eliminate the why. I haven't seen any evidence of it.
But I don't remember many games, if any, where I came out of it saying we were the better team.
Oh, I can remember games.
Oh yeah,
they were better than.
Your memory's better than mine.
Now they deserved more points. That's all I'm saying. That they were better, worse, whatever. I don't want to turn this into a semantics
but
argument.
to me, that's a big deal.
He played 10 games last year. 4 of them, they had the same offensive production that they did on Sunday and no points, just like this. Only it wasn't because they turned it over 5 times. It was a different reason why they didn't score points.
Yeah, it's always something. I get. In order to lose the game, there has to be reasons.
Right.
But
until I see them being able to score points commensurate with the way they move the ball or consistently move it and produce, I'm not going to assume it's going to happen.
Yeah. But I see the potential for.
I think Drake May has played better this year than last year. That's the one difference.
Well, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, no,
it's a huge difference.
Of course it is. But he hasn't played at a high enough level to score more
but
points.
I see the potential for it turning around.
The last 2 games, he's played better, I think, than he did in most of the games last year.
That's huge.
The first game he didn't. So that's 3 games. That's
didn't
a small
we all
sample
go
size.
into the season saying that's job number 1 is seeing improvement from him?
Yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely.
Right.
I just think I hear what Paul is saying. I do. Last year, their offensive line
was the Achilles heel. No doubt.
It was an Achilles heel that could not be fixed in season. They did not have the talent, the requisite talent on the offensive line to make it better. Right? Like
I would agree with
Trey
that.
Jacobs and Vitarian Lowe are your starting tackles.
And Will Campbell and Morgan Moses are better players than they
That's
are.
not going anywhere. Rhamondre Stevenson not fumbling the ball going into the end zone is something that is not the same as like these 2 tackles are not NFL caliber starting tackles.
I agree.
And we can't improve
I said
this
that at the very beginning. It's
over
not the
course
same.
of the season. So like I think that's just where, if you want to sit here and say, they only scored 14 points, it's not enough points, obviously. But they have the potential to have a much higher ceiling with what they're putting on film now than what they were doing over the last couple of years, and it's pretty cut and dry. I think, like just looking even at the advanced stats of it all, like Drake May right now is 8th in the league in expected points added per dropback.
Yeah.
He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Paul is call me when you start scoring points.
I get it.
I'm going to work with you to help you score points. I'm more sympathetic.
I get he's not wrong. I'm just telling you.
I'm not like you guys. I can't tell what's going to happen. I can only go by what has happened.
I know, but part of our job is to see what might happen and try to guess. But
if I'm going to go by what I'm going to guess,
yeah,
is something different's going to happen in 2 weeks
so
that we haven't seen
so
yet.
So you're
because I don't think they're good enough.
Yeah.
Offensively, I don't think they're good enough offensively
as professionals
because they don't make it, and they don't get any chunks. They don't make anything easy.
Yeah, I think the chunks are going to come.
Okay.
I think that's going to open eventually. I think he wants to get this stuff right first, and then teams are going to have to start defending this, and then he'll open it up.
The chunks is interesting because I actually did some numbers on that. They are getting a decent amount of chunk plays, but their chunk plays are not as chunky as other teams. So the word I used was like their explosives aren't explosive. So they're actually generating the 7th most explosive plays in the NFL for the first 3 weeks of the season.
So what's the definition of an explosive play?
Plus 20.
Plus 20.
In the pass.
Now, is that in the air or
Yes.
after catch?
No,
It
just
has to be in the air.
no. It's just a 20-yard play.
Okay, well.
And I don't know what the difference is.
Well, like if guy breaks 5 tackles, then in your definition, that becomes an explosive play if he gets over 20 yards.
Yeah, because it's supposed to.
To me, that's not an explosive play.
Okay. Anyways,
It's not. It's not. You know what I mean?
No.
Okay,
If
all
you
right.
get.
I know what you mean.
If you get 20 plus yards on a play, it's 20 plus yards.
Okay, all right.
So the explosive plays are 7th in the league in explosive plays, but they're 30th in the league in average yards on those explosive plays. So they're not getting big plays.
That proves your point.
Yeah.
So like they are getting 20 yards at a time on some of these chunk plays, but they're not getting 50 yards at a time,
Okay.
right?
All
So
right.
like that I think is maybe where your thing comes into it, where like when Vrabel says we're not getting enough explosive plays, which is what led me down this rabbit hole, he's talking about like the 55-yard completion to Rhamondre in Miami.
Flips the field.
Right. He's not
Yeah.
talking about the 23-yard completion to Rhamondre on the 3rd down in last week's game. Like that is to him and to you, that's a catch and run underneath kind of play that goes for 23 yards and not truly an explosive play.
Right.
And I think that that's the big difference right now with their offense. The way I would like, they are getting chunk plays, but they're not getting explosive plays. And that I think is like a tough line to draw. But
I also think it's tough because I agree with everything you said about the offensive game plans the last 2 weeks and how effective they've been. I think that's also a hard thing to do every week is to have to rely on having the perfect setups and sequences to plays to get Hunter Henry, free up the sideline for that wheel route and to get Rhamondre Stevenson for that 20. Like that's hard.
Yep.
That's hard when you can't just say, you know what, at some point we're just going to give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs and he's going to make 3 guys miss and he's going to be able to pick up a first down. Or, we're going to send our, elite wide receiver, and he's going to beat. I don't care if you have him double covered. He's going to win those. We don't have
that guy.
Enough of those kinds of players yet.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you'll never have it.
Yep.
Like to Mike's point, I think at the start of the show you said like I could envision something like what we watched last night a year or two down the road. If they can get some explosive playmakers, and who knows, maybe Kyle Williams would be one of those guys.
Yeah. It's the whole X's and O's and Jimmy's and Joe's thing.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with everything
100%.
that Evan said about Josh McDaniels and the effect. And I think he's getting everything that he can out of what he has.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, he is absolutely.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
He is absolutely taken every single thing that he can leverage against the defense, and he's used it. Like whether it's formations, it's Drake May's mobility. They're doing everything they can to move the football schematically. Like,
the other
it's
thing
impressive.
that I would worry about, and again, this is admittedly that I worry about a lot of crap that most people probably don't. They're relying right now on, as I said, scheme, and they're leaning on those 2 tight ends. Hunter Henry gets banged up in that game the other day.
Right.
What if he's, at less than 100%? Or what if he can't go in one of these games? He seems to be a huge part of what they're trying to do. I'd like to see if
focal
Diggs,
point of the offense.
Yeah, and I'd like to see if Diggs, could maybe sort of emerge. I thought the kinds of catches Diggs is making, I expected. I just thought there'd be more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Fred says like the volume hasn't been there.
Yeah.
I just wonder if maybe they can continue to evolve.
We need more out of Diggs.
I think
we
they
need
have
more
to.
out of Diggs.
I mean, that's what's apparent to me is just I think reality hits home. You have a set of opinions you come to in the summer when you watch these guys, and for me, watching Stephon Diggs was kind of eye-opening in the summer, and then you get into these games and you realize this isn't quite back to what even Stephon Diggs was last year, coming off an ACL. But when you look at Booty and the other guys, Pop Douglas's inconsistencies, it's starting to be glaring to me of it's the same old thing. And I think it's the core of your argument, Paul. It's just they don't have the horses to support Drake quite yet in the way that they need to. And when I look at Detroit now, where they've arrived, and think back a couple years ago when Dan Campbell arrived and they were first starting to build it, and you see each year they're adding talented guys who are now making big plays for them, and that's what you have to build around Drake to make a really functional football team, not just a team with a few pieces of talent that you feel good about and you think are going to have good NFL careers.
Especially the deep passing game. Like they really don't have any vertical stretch to the offense right now, and that goes back to the explosive plays thing. They really just don't. Drake May is only attempting a deep pass on 6% of his dropbacks, and that's not a Drake May problem. Like, we all know
just
that
a Booty, right? I mean, it's all like Booty and maybe one to I don't know.
It's not much.
One other one,
and they don't really have. On paper, it's kind of hard unless Kyle Williams really starts to emerge. It's kind of hard to see where that could come from with the current group that they have out there. Like, I don't think that's Matt Collins, Diggs, and Booty's game. Is being able to really get behind the defense and
I agree with you,
and stretch it vertically. So Kyle Williams is the one guy that maybe could do something like that, but he's a rookie and we'll see.
So I want to tie in Saturday to Sunday a little bit. And, we all saw Vrabel after the game address, the Rhamondre Stevenson issues. Like, guys, it's 20 minutes after the game. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And I was thinking to myself, this is a time where you could use Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells would know what to do. Unlike Bill Belichick, everything's black and white. Just bench him, just get him out of the game. I think Parcells might have some clever way of getting through to him. And I don't want to give up on Rhamondre Stevenson. We need him, just like Vrabel said. I don't want to just, forget about him. But I don't know what to do. I think you need somebody like a Bill Parcells who has all those years of experience. He's probably seen this before several times and knows how to get through to a player, when something like this.
Yeah, or knows when you can't get through to a player, or just,
right.
I mean, you guys always use that if they don't bite his puppies, they're not going to bite his dogs. is this connected to another thing of Parcells where it said at a certain point, a guy's just fumble prone, and that's how it is, and he's not going to be able to fix it. No quip or story is going to help him.
Perfectly put, Mike. And I said this on the post-game show. I'm going to repeat it now because I know sometimes people aren't necessarily listening on Sundays. I wouldn't release him. I would not release Stevenson right now. However, I could make a really strong argument for it, and it's kind of what Mike just said. If you had a quarterback, if Drake May, would you say right now Drake May is emerging but still kind of mistake-prone?
Yes.
At times.
Yes.
Right? Let's just fast forward 3 years and put him in year 5. If he was still doing what he did in the fourth quarter, wouldn't you say, we got to move on. We got to get another guy.
This is who he is.
We got to bench him. It's Daniel Jones with the Giants. We're going to bench him. He's not getting any better. Like
if he keeps doing it.
But for some reason, it's Rhamondre Stevenson. It's a running back. We can't somehow.
Well,
they need him. They can't get by with another running back in there.
I think it's tough because he's
definitely tough.
He's one of their best skill players, and
he is.
And besides.
Don't worry, this is just Mike and I.
The Bilos.
We have a show. We have a show going.
Besides Hunter Henry, like he's really what he's kind of stirring the drink right now.
No,
and the game in Miami is like the peak of what it can be with Rhamondre.
Best player on the field in Miami.
But like
best player on the field.
It's such a big part of what they're trying to do schematically is running it through.
And here's what I worry about is, let's just say that there is some technique that Vrabel or one of the coaches gives to Rhamondre. I look at Stephen Ridley. He had a fumbling problem, and he kind of corrected it, but it affected his running game. It affected how he ran with the abandon, and I think he was never the same after that. After he had those problems, I don't think he ever became the same runner again.
Yeah, I don't really remember enough, but you're probably right. And I would just say, Ev, when we talked on the postgame, I wouldn't release him, as I said, but I would this week flip-flop the roles. I would have Gibson as the lead back this week and have Stevenson as the guy who comes in, to spell him, and keep Henderson in his third down role, who, by the way, needs to improve in that role too.
Yeah.
Right. That's certainly got to improve his pass protection if he's going to stay out there in that third down role.
That's another part I hope we get into talking about Henderson.
All of it's been disappointing.
I want to make one more point though on Rhamondre real quick, was that I thought Vrabel was interesting yesterday when asked with that, and he said something to the effect of, "We're just going to continue to practice it. That's all I know how to do.
Practice the crap out of it." And to me, it's like kind of like we keep talking. What do you do? What do you do? And Vrabel's way of answering that question of saying the only thing I know how to do, it's not a little story or put your thumb here or let me tell you about this player. Like, it's not a little mental thing. Like, and the second part of it for me is you heard the Steelers players all talk about we knew it. Yeah. And so how does it feel as Rhamondre Stevenson knowing that every game you're going to go into right now, they are coming to punch that ball out every single time? By the way, I don't know if you guys caught Tomlin. He said it. Particularly. Yeah. He said it about Stevenson. He said it about May too.
Oh yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah. No.
Well, he's right.
Quarterback's here too, so he's immune to it.
He did have 2 turnovers.
And they said that they felt like they could get the ball loose from him, that he fumbles. He's loose in the pocket, and he is.
Yeah.
And again, it's year 2 for him. He's your clearly established starting quarterback. Yeah. He's going nowhere. But if we're having these same conversations 3 years down the road, and you're year 5, year 6, like Stevenson.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think I wouldn't release Stevenson, but I don't think it's outrageous to suggest that might be the best course.
I just think it's tough because of the play of the other 2 running backs. Like, if they had
that's a great point.
More at the position, I would feel more confident in it, but Gibson put the ball on the ground too.
And by the way, has a fumbling history. Maybe not as much here, but that's why he's no longer in Washington.
Yeah, he puts the ball on the ground also, and then Travion is super talented, but right now he looks like a rookie. Like game's moving really fast for him. When he's running the ball between the tackles, he's running into crowds, he's running into piles instead of finding the creases and seeing the cutback lanes. And like he's one track, right? He's got tunnel vision for the field, and the pass protection stuff too has been obviously up and down, but they gave him more carries in this game after all the fumbling by the 2 lead guys, and watching some of those carries, he seeks contact. Where I think he's the type of running back that should be trying to run to daylight. He's running into people, and it's like why aren't you using your speed to run away from people instead of doing the other thing? So if I had more confidence in Gibson and TreVeyon Henderson, then it would be an easy choice to bench Rhamondre.
I saw some of the sentiment yesterday, like they need to unleash TreVeyon Henderson, and I had 2 points.
I keep reading it.
First one is that Rhamondre Stevenson leads the team with 32 touches. TreVeyon second with 30. So he's got 2 off of most touches on the whole offense. And everything Evan just said, again, going back to feeling you give one impression of a guy in training camp and then it kind of changes. I thought he's electric. He's amazing in space. No one's going to touch him. And then we get to the games and he's very linear. He doesn't really have a jump, step, move, slide to the right, make guy miss. He kind of lowers his shoulder and tries to go right through guys. You said it, I think, Paul, in the press box. This is why he had some injury issues. I feel like he's still a rookie. He's still developing. We need to have the same thoughts with him as we do with Will Campbell, where, yeah, there's some good and some bad, and we just have to live with some of that right now. But I don't know what it means to unleash TreVeyon Henderson.
I've read
right
it several times. I agree with you, Mike. And I think sometimes, you have that splash in the summer, and he returns the opening kick of the first preseason game, and everybody's like, wow, I can't wait. And then it's not that easy. It's not that easy. I think Evan talked about like the game moving a little fast.
Yeah.
I have not lost any faith or excitement or optimism for TreVeyon Henderson, but I don't, and I've said this all summer, I don't think he's an every down back. I don't think he will be an every down back. Now, maybe he will be. Maybe he'll be like Jahmyr Gibbs, where he sort of starts off in this secondary role and then emerges as more than that. I don't think that he will.
Because of his size?
Yeah, now he's not that much different in size to Gibbs.
Is he really? I was just wondering that. I
But
don't
he
know.
looks smaller.
Gibbs seems bigger to me.
But Gibbs, I don't think there's a huge difference in their size. As John Gruden would say, and I bet if you look that up, the facts would back it up. It's a John Grudenism. But when he was the every down guy at Ohio State, he broke down. And that's why they went out and spent all that money on Quinshon Judkins. I know that sounds silly. In college, they went out and spent all that money, but that's what they did, and that's the modern game. And Judkins sort of handled the between the tackle stuff and allowed Henderson to be more productive than he had been with fewer touches because he's so electric in space. And I still think that he has that potential. He brings that potential 100%. To the offense.
Yeah,
I would like to see him just pace the runs out a little bit better. Like he is all gas, no brakes right now. Where like he doesn't really let things develop in front of him. He just goes 100% right into the line of scrimmage. And a big part of playing running back is like when to let off the gas pedal and when to go down on the gas pedal. And that's something that he can learn hopefully over the course of. Yeah, like that's
too much.
That ability
to
kind of tempo runs and know when you can be patient and know when to slow play it, and then when that hole opens, you hit it. Like that's the type of things that really make great running backs.
All right, defense.
Better.
We got to get Gonzo back.
Yeah. But better this week.
Yeah.
Defense.
Yep,
best out of the 3 games.
Yep.
Now, the worst offense you played in the 3 games too, but better.
Yeah.
Yep.
They kept the team in the game with all those turnovers.
Yep.
I mean, it's a little. I mean, I know that they didn't necessarily get put in a lot of bad spots. Like 2 of the fumbles came in the end zone. One of them came at the end of the half, so there's not even a possession that follows it. They did allow 14 points off of the 4 turnovers. Let's count 4 turnovers because one of them ended the half. Mm-hmm. But they were better in this game, I thought, against the run. I thought some of the changes that Evan and Mike talked about the 5-man lines, I think the subtle changes in personnel here and there, Ellis out, Gibbons in. I thought they were pretty physical up front in the run game. They really were physical.
Yeah,
that start. And I will say that, it was their best performance, but I wouldn't say this was a great performance defensively.
No.
Again, this is the second time in 3 weeks you allow an opening drive touchdown.
Yeah.
The game plans out of the chute have not been great.
Yeah.
The adjustments have been really good, and
which is promising.
I give them a lot of credit for that. But this week, they opened in 2 high safety with 3 corner nickel, and the Steelers just ran them over on the opening drive. I mean, it was not overly competitive on the opening drive on the ground. And then eventually, they put Duggar in. They went 3 safety, and they put Duggar in, and then they put a little bit more Tonga, who I think
Tonga was underrated. Yeah,
a little bit more. And then in the second half, Jack Gibbons played over Ellis. But like they got there eventually. But the start was Jalen Warren right down your throats all the way down the field. I think it was 6 out of the first 8 plays for the Steelers were run plays, and they ran it right down the Patriots' throat. So I don't know why in this game with Rodgers, I guess it was out of respect for Rodgers, I suppose, but like you open in light personnel and then you empty the box and you just kind of let them run it down your throat was weird. Now they adjusted and settled down, but can't get down 14-0.
Yeah.
It's like, it's tough to play like that.
No, Spillane was the Spillane that you kind of thought you were going to get. Wasn't perfect, but, nice interception, good zone awareness on that.
Yeah, he was better in this game,
I
no
thought
question.
Ellis going back, missed a couple tackles. Tackles that he probably should have made. I think that was a curious move to me in the offseason anyway. Like we've talked about that.
You just wonder if Tavai would be in that spot.
Just going to say that. I wonder if Tavai can offer them at least a third option to give them some size. I think Gibbons is kind of what he is. He's kind of what Ellis is. I think those guys are, good, hard-playing special teamers, but, I don't know if they have the instincts and the tackling ability to do what these guys are going to ask them. And the last point I just make is Alex Austin getting kind of yanked after another tough outing from him. Really had a good summer. Again, going back to impressions you have in the summer and 3 games in, you feel like they've been turned upside down. Not a great start for him, and I think that's been a little bit part of their past struggles. Charles Woods comes in. We'll see how those things develop this week. But
that's what happens when you lose your best player. It's a a trickle effect up, and Austin's probably not in a role.
No, and that's what I wonder, Fred.
That's a great point.
Gonzo comes back, and then maybe Austin plays a little in the slot, like we started to see him towards the end of the summer. Maybe that helps everybody, and even Marcus Jones.
And in this game, it didn't kill them because I don't think it's an overly productive passing game with Rodgers. Rodgers came exactly as advertised.
You play Bengals with their receivers, and now you're in trouble.
Some other games,
the Bills?
but
those guys.
But the way the game unfolded, Rodgers just couldn't you still saw his ability to throw. The 2 touchdown passes were especially the last one was unbelievable. But there's so much any time they didn't have a tremendous amount of pressure on him in this game.
No.
But anytime they got near him, it was just
well, that's the thing. You didn't have the pressure, but he thought the way he just throws off his back foot.
Yeah, but they had some. I'm not, I thought Landry and Chason, showed up a little bit. I know they didn't have any sacks per se, but I think they affected him on the pick.
Yeah, well,
I think Chason affected him on that throw.
He was getting the ball out quick a lot too. You talk about that. I think the touchdown throw was under 1.8. He just caught it and chucked it. It was. Great play, but I would say those guys have been really fun for me. Defense guy, getting to watch Milton Williams and Harold Landry this year. I just think those guys are exactly as advertised. Not a statistically productive day for Milton Williams, but you can just tell.
I noticed him
that he's a problem.
I noticed him a little bit.
And I think you wrote in your further review that get a little more double teams too. Maybe that then loosens Barmore up.
And they're showing up in the run game.
Well, that's one of the biggest things. What do you think about that? They haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher yet. Now, I hesitate to be like, they have a great run defense. They're going to get against.
But it's been better than I think we all expected.
Really, yes, very surprising.
Last week wasn't as good, but for the first 3 weeks of the season, they're number 1 in the league in run stop win rate. They have one of the best run defenses in the NFL statistically. Now it's a little boomer bust because of how aggressive they are against the run. So they're backdooring a lot of blocks and things like that, and kind of just flying up the field. So if you miss them,
I just felt that was going to be a problem heading in. I thought they were a little undersized, and it really hasn't been. And to your point of when it has been a problem, they've been able to show that they have the ability to adjust.
Yeah.
And
I thought
that
the running game early on in the game on the first couple of drives, to me, that was coaching. Why are you playing 2 high safeties? This is not MVP Aaron Rodgers.
He's going to. I think that kind of happened in all 3 games where there was some initial success on the ground. And then they just made a couple of changes, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now, it took longer to Evans Point in Miami. It didn't happen until the second half. Yeah. But the Raiders, it was the first 3 carries for Genti, and then after that, he got completely shut down. With Warren and Gainwell, it was the first drive.
Yeah.
And then they kind of got shut down the rest of the game. Achane had success into the second half, and then they shut him down when the game was on the line.
Yeah. No, the run defense has been pretty good. It's cool to watch how they play run defense versus how Bills hold the wall and two gap.
Right.
Now they are up the field, like especially the edges are just flying up the field, and they're making plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage, which I think is good. You're getting into a lot of like 2nd and 12s and things like that because you're getting tackles for loss on first down. So the defense, once they kind of figured it out that Rodgers stinks. Like Rodgers is, we can say it. Like
he's done.
Like he's washed. Like he's not good anymore. Once they kind of figured that out, they were like, oh wait, like this guy doesn't want to sit in this pocket anymore. So we're just gonna, put the other safety in the box and we're gonna stop the run.
I gave one caveat to Mike on Rodgers. Just if Pittsburgh somehow manages to win games and they're in it, I will say like maybe if you get to like week 12, week 13, and they're, right in the mix of the play. Maybe Rodgers says, this is my last year. We got a chance to do something. Maybe I'll start trying. Like, because I'm telling you, he looks
doesn't have that dog in him.
Like you guys were you were joking about the Le'Veon Bell, the patience.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Rodgers is the Le'Veon Bell of quarterbacks. Like nothing to worry about here.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm just gonna let the play clock wind down. I have no urgency.
2 delay calls, right?
I have no urgency. He had one, but he just like no urgency. Now he gets those delay calls. They go up tempo a lot. How many times did they get right on the ball in the game? Like no huddle, quick, and they still run the play clock down incessantly. And that's him.
Yeah.
To me, that was the most frustrating part of losing this game. Is I really do not think much of Aaron Rodgers at this point, and to lose to that guy, like he had nothing, and you just you gave him the game.
Now
like,
I will give him his props.
Like touchdowns.
The game-winning touchdown pass was an extended handoff. I mean, you couldn't
he
make
made
that.
2 good throws the whole
You couldn't
game.
make that any more perfect.
14 points.
And I know the other one on that drive was an easy throw, but picked him apart right up the middle at the little dump.
Yep.
Almost like a skinny post to a running back. Like I think it was Warren for like 15 yards.
Yeah, I mean he is
But
a Hall
that was
of Famer.
he did that with his brain more so than anything physical.
He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, all those types of things. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but
I am.
At this point,
it just was so frustrating because he came as exactly like Paul said. He was exactly as advertised. I knew that they didn't have to be afraid of Aaron Rodgers, and he wasn't good, and they had him, and they just let him off the mat.
let him off the hook.
They did.
They really did. And it
Was who we thought he was.
Yeah, and that whole team, that whole team is mediocre. Tomlin is just another 9-8 season for them, and it's just like, you had him. You had him.
I'll give you that. You want to talk about the optimism part, which I am largely on board with, because I think all the things that we said the Patriots did wrong, and you still have the ball in field goal range in a tie game halfway through the fourth quarter, right? So I think there's reason to sit there and say, well, I can make an argument for the glass being half full.
Sure.
I can do that.
But
if that's
you choose not to.
If that's a 9-8 team, Fred,
yeah,
I can understand why people think the Patriots should be a 9-8 team, or something like that, and be in the hunt, quote unquote.
Yeah. All right. What do you think? Evan and I are overall optimistic. Paul and Deuce are not. So
very negative.
This is why I didn't want to get into a semantics argument, because I knew he would do that.
I
just got finished telling you why there's reason for optimism.
855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Let's go to Alex in San Diego. What's up, Alex?
Hey, guys. What's going on? I couldn't agree with you guys more. I mean, here with what you're saying earlier, I mean, this year's already way easier to watch than the last two. There's already a lot to feel good about, even if we do turn it over 5 times. But, Paul, I know you love naming games, and this easily goes down as so-called the fumble game. I don't know if this was brought up during the post-game show, and granted it works, so we aren't really talking about it, but what are your guys' thoughts on going for it on 4th and 1 from your own 15-yard line here in the second quarter? I just felt like that was something like Brandon
didn't care for it,
and really almost put the game out of reach.
So I'm glad somebody brought it up, because this is something that makes me happy too.
Okay.
The Patriots are nerds, and I love it. The Patriots are nerds.
You think the analytics favors that?
100%.
Really?
Analytics favored all 5 of their decisions to go for it on 4th down in this game.
Thanks, Alex.
And he has Vrabel. When I say Vrabel has been lockstep with the nerds on all of his 4th down decisions through 3 games. Even like last week, they were going to go for it on 4th and 2. and they got pushed back to 4th and 7, and it was kick on 4th and 7th and go on 4th and 2. So he is the models are exactly with Stretch and Vrabel on all of these decisions. They are nerds, and it is awesome.
You have to explain to me how the analytics favors that. And I don't know if at the time I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Go for it or not go. So I'm being honest. I did not have an opinion in the moment. But tell me why the analytics favors going for it on your own 15.
Well, I think most of it is that 4th and 1 has a probably close to a 90% success rate league-wide. So you have to consider the down and distance. Like, it's only 1 yard. And so that's a big part of it. Like, when you look at a lot of these analytic models, especially when that one's way backed up, but if you're over your own 50-yard line, usually anything less than 4th and 2 is a go, because the numbers are just, if you're playing the odds, like
field position, absolutely.
But like when we're talking just about distance to the sticks, like anything within like 1 or 2 yards, but league wide is like
any of these models take anything else into consideration other than the distance?
Because it's only 1 yard, but if you don't get it, they only have 15 yards to the end zone.
I'm not going to do the whole Revenge of the Nerds thing.
No, I'm not
doing it.
I'm not doing that either. I just would say I want you, because I know you immediately go to the models. I'm sitting next to you, and we were talking about it. I think in the moment all three of us didn't agree with it. I will say that.
It was ballsy.
But I want you to point out when the model says not to go for it, because I think the model always says to go for it.
Well, I just gave you an example.
Because it always is like a yard or two, and the percentages is that you're going to get it. Right?
Well, my question for Evan
you
would
should
be
get a yard on a play.
If it was, where does the model change? Is it 4th and 2 from your 15? Is it 4th and 3 from your 15? Like, at what point
usually 2
would it flip?
But I think in this case, it was really just that it was a yard. But I just gave you an example last week in Miami on 4th and 2 in Miami on that field goal decision. It's clear go on 4th and 2. When they got the false start penalty and it went to 4th and 7, it was clear kick. So that's exactly, they took the offense off the field and they ran Borgalis onto the field on 4th and 7.
And I would have actually gone for that 4th and 7. I said it last week. But on my own 15-yard line in a 14-7 game, I don't think there's enough on these percentages that weigh the risks and rewards. Like, so if I get a yard, I'm still on my own 16-yard line. Mm-hmm. If I don't get the yard, which I'm sorry, happens from time to time. I saw Derrick Henry get stuffed from the 1-yard line 3 straight plays last night. Arguably the best short yardage back in the history of football.
Right. You know it.
So you can get stopped. You get stopped on the 15, it's handing at least 3 points to the other team for nothing.
Right.
And to me, that's a needless, reckless decision.
Yeah, because I was thinking like analytics had nothing to do with that decision. That was
I agree with Evan. I think it's all analytics.
That was more of a feeling for if I need to take a chance because that's how I felt.
I mean, I like going forward on 4th down as a general rule.
So do I.
I do like that change in the league.
That's very risky.
Detroit last night could not possibly agree more. 4th and 2, was it, from like midfield?
Yeah.
With a 7-point lead? Absolutely. I'm going to end the game right here. I would do that. I told you I would have gone for the 4th and 7 even after the false start. I want to end the game on offense, not rely on my defense every time. Now, if I'm on my own 13-yard line, that's different. Like Bill's decision on his own 28 that year.
4th and 2.
4th and 2. Yeah. I know he says it was 1, but it wasn't. No, that to me is recklessly putting the game in danger.
Kevin Falk had that, by the way.
If he didn't bobble it, he would have.
Yeah. So I want to just be clear. The 4th and 1 from the 15 decision was very, very close to a coin flip on the model. So, like, it's ballsy.
So it does take into consideration.
Are you going by the European model or the?
No. So, but if it was 4th and 1 from the Steelers 15, I'm going to guess it would have been like an 85% go or something like that.
Okay. But like 4th and 1 from like that takes some cojones. Like that's not.
No doubt.
The analytics model is not saying like this is you have to go for this. That was ballsy.
I think so.
But the other 4, I mean, obviously the one at the end of the game you have to, but like the other 3, let's call it, were all pretty distinctly clear go situations. And Vrabel, stretch. I love you. I love it.
You know,
Bring the
question.
nerds.
It doesn't have to be exactly what the Lions are, but I remember when they came here a few years ago when Dan Campbell first took over, and it was kind of stupid the amount of fourth downs they were trying.
They were mocked.
And probably rightly so to that extreme nature that they were using it. But I also look at it as Dan Campbell with a young team at that point, and he's trying to say, this is the kind of team we're going to be. And that to me is also an element of Vrabel going for it there. With a young team, look, they're not going to win or lose the game, or, you know, the season is going to be decided by this game or this fourth down. And you know, that's part of it for me too. I don't think he's going to get to that stupid, crazy nature that we've seen the Lions go to at times, but I like the fact that he's going to put that belief in his team. Like everything that they killed Bill for when he did it in Indy, doesn't believe in his defense, doesn't trust them. You know, those things, like, I like the aggressiveness. I like to see how Mike Vrabel's going to be aggressive.
To me, in that situation, on your own 15, forget about analytics. You have to have the feeling.
Yeah.
You know, that has to be a gut feeling of where the game is going, how my team is performing, who I have at my disposal. To me, it can't be an analytics call when you're on your own 15.
Well, I mean,
I think
you have to have a feeling.
I think there were definitely, that one in particular, there definitely was a gut element for Vrabel.
There has to be.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I've looked at all of their fourth down decisions for the first 3 games, and they are lockstep with the analytics models.
Yeah.
Every single decision that they have made.
You know what? I think league wide, it's like that now.
It's getting there,
Yeah.
but the Patriots have not been there under Bill and under Gerard Mayo. They were not an analytically driven team with their decision making. So this is definitely different. And I think the one thing that is probably more important than the actual decisions themselves is there's a method to the madness. And if you're consistent with the method, this is the Detroit thing. Like if you're consistent with the method, then at least you have a plan. Like I think what coaches get into trouble is when they're flying by the seat of their pants on these decisions.
Your point.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they have a method and a model and a consistent way to do things is good.
The last thing you want is your team on the field going, we're going for it?
Yeah,
Right.
right.
So
You know?
That's Detroit's biggest strength is they know going in what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it goes down to everything. It's like it's 3rd and 7. Well, I'm the offensive coordinator. I know that I don't have to call a play to get 8 yards here because I'm going for it on 4th down. I already know that. The players already know that.
Yeah.
There's no confusion. Last night you watched them. And again, it's great when it works.
Yeah, right.
Everything looks great. Like the little option play they ran in the goal line on 4th and goal. Did you see that one?
Yeah, it was fun.
Little hand to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he
And then he
pitches
flipped
it out for an easy touch. Those are all great when they work.
Right.
You know, when Lamar Jackson's running a little like zone read on 4th and goal from the 1 and they sniff it out and he ends up getting tackled and worse, ends up fumbling. So the one thing about going for it on 4th and goal from the 1, what do you say? Well, even if we get stopped, they're on the 1. No, instead you fumble and you give it to them on the 20 and it defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah,
Right.
I wonder what the vibes are like now in Detroit with the 4th down stuff. If the team, like you said, like they just know they're going, it's part of their identity. They're even more confident now when they go for it. And maybe even when the analytics are saying no, they're saying,
So here's
Coach,
my
we could
problem
go,
with it.
you know?
And Ev,
I'll let you have. Hey,
we both
we
come
all
at
have our
this from
different opinions.
different spots. I get it. Like the model is situated as such. It's just like the 2-point conversion chart. Everybody has a chart.
Yep.
Those percentages are borne out over huge sample sizes. The Detroit Lions cost themselves a trip to the Super Bowl because they were slaves to their numbers 2 years ago, or whenever it was, 3 years ago, the year that they lost a game that they absolutely had no business losing in
lost
San
to the
Francisco
Commanders last
because
year.
they absolutely refused to kick field goals. So you can have a chart and you can be right on your percentages. That's small consolation when the one time I needed to pick up the yard, I didn't.
Yeah.
And instead of being up 17 in the second half of the NFC Championship game, I leave the door open and I end up losing. Like,
those are the ones I don't think Vrabel would do, because I think of Fred's thing that common sense might prevail in his head a little bit faster. I don't think he's a slave to it as necessarily as much as sometimes the Lions are. But I think the one thing I would also say about the Lions thing is that they now know that they have to have like a bunch of 4th and 1 and 4th and 2 plays because they're going to go for it. So now they have all these great play designs that they can pull out in these situations, like the one that Paul brought up last night. So now not only are they going, but they also have all these great
I'm so glad you brought that up.
for it.
Yeah.
The personnel was part of it too.
Yeah.
Like, on the Lions, I have really good skill positioning guys. I have an unbelievable offensive line that I'm relying
Explosive
on.
backs.
Right.
When you aren't,
Patriots don't have that right now.
The analytics,
but
like
they
you
acted
said,
like they did.
are born over a huge data set with a huge amount of different personnel. I, as a coach, have to look at my personnel.
Yeah.
And how does it
is it
apply?
better than the average or
What
worse
did you
than
just
the
say?
It worked.
You just finger wagged me in the first 15 minutes of the show not to be results driven.
That's true. I did.
Yeah. So don't be results driven.
All right.
Is it the right choice or not? Like from
Full
your own
circle.
15, I'm sorry. That's
Matt
a
says
reckless.
go. We're going.
That's a reckless thing to do that could have completely changed the game.
Well, they
Yeah,
better have
it-
those fourth down play
Anthony's
calls
in
ready.
Seattle.
I
What's
have a-
up, Anthony? Go ahead.
We're not done with the fourth downs.
What? Yeah.
Hey, what's up, my people?
Hey,
Hey, first and foremost, got a couple of highlights. They're not football related, but listen, the lobster rolls that you guys have out there, this is going to be some stuff that you guys are probably used to, but man, you don't know what you don't know. Lobster roll was life-changing, and I've had lobster rolls here, and you know, we're on the water. You guys see people like at Pike Place Market, they're throwing the fish, and I think we're more known for like the freshwater fish, and you guys are maybe known for your shellfish, like, you know, the clams and lobster, and
Yeah,
but
sure.
man, just unbelievable. Secondly, the Gillette Stadium, man. Wow. I mean, again, I've been to Lumen, and again, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm thinking that's perfectly fine. That's what football fields are, or stadiums are. No, man. You got, I'm talking about just the shopping centers and the Hall of Fame and just, oh my goodness. I'm like, this is what it's supposed to be, like, unbelievable. And then the
Glad you enjoyed yourself.
The shopping center
I mean,
and the Hall of Fame.
what a trip! What a great! And it's funny too because you know I understand now why Mr. Kraft and stadium owners, team owners are going to make these investments because you got. Here I am, a guy who put this trip off for years because it costs money to fly across the country and go to the game. But now I'm like, I talked to my wife. I said, "Babe, we got to go back next year. I'm going to make this an annual thing." Just because, like you see, it's like this is like I got to come back. So, and then as far as the statue, Evan. The detail. I mean, the details up close. I mean, it's ridiculous. I almost wanted to cry, man. Like that for millions of us. That's
I think Barth
we're
did
never
cry.
Get the Tom. It was just ridiculous. And then lastly, football wise, I can't really add anything. I was anxious to listen to the post game show, and pretty much it's nice to hear like what I think and then kind of see what if you guys kind of agree or saw it differently. And it's easy for me as a fan to say, man, it felt like we beat ourselves, but then to hear the post game, you guys are like, I mean, the Patriots pretty much beat themselves. You can't turn the ball over 5 times, and it rarely ever happens. Unfortunately, the one time I was in town, they did it. But hey, I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
you'll be back.
All right, Anthony, you got a bright future with the
Glowing.
Chamber of Commerce.
Glowing.
I can tell you.
I should say, Fred, I met 2 Patriots Unfiltered fans, one on Friday and one on Saturday, just before the ceremony.
Nice flex.
People that
bro.
were around here.
Just so you know, Mike, there's a lot more than 2.
fans of the show. Well, these were the only 2 that happened to be around, but they were very excited to run into me and wanted to say hello to everybody.
Nice.
So it was
I had
always great.
someone in South Carolina that wanted me to ask you why you want me to leave and go and coach high school sports.
Because I like seeing people happy.
I just thought it was funny. I'm in South Carolina. And goes, why does Fred want you to leave?
All right, we're going to take a break. I'm going to eat. When we come back, more calls and emails here on Patriots Unfiltered. Game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Hey.
Good morning.
Karen.
Mike.
How are you?
I'm well. After a night to ruminate on things and also watch film, do you have a better idea how you might handle Rhamondre Stevenson and the fumbling issue?
Well, we got to continue to practice the crap out of it. We also have to do a better job of protecting said person with the ball, whether that's the quarterback, whether that's the running back, or the receiver. And we're all responsible for the security of the football, and starts with the person who has it, and then it falls on the people that are blocking. And again, we'll continue to rep it, and if we have to put two hands on the football and when we're going through there, that's what we'll have to do. The only thing I know how to do is to continue to practice it and work it. But then also, maybe it's not so much the person that you see, it's the one you don't see. And there was a few opportunities that we can show them here in a little bit of that. And yes, the person is responsible for taking care of the football. But again, the other people are also have a critical job in ball security.
Mike, understanding that production can be a result of what the defense gives you, what can your receiver group do to be more productive going forward?
Well, I just think keep doing what they've been doing. There's opportunities, and we just have to be able to find them. When things are there, just again make the plays that you're supposed to make. You can see that there's opportunities, and whether that's an in cut by Kayshawn on a 3rd and long, or inward breaking routes by Diggs. Those are all positive things. And again, you can track stats, and we can track wins or separation and man coverage and match. Again, there's one football, and when the opportunities are there, just to continue to make them, and then how well they play with the football without the football. And I think saw a good example of Diggsy there helping Rhamondre, spring him for a big play. Something that didn't happen in Miami, and was able to come back and adjust and take the coaching points and get the look exactly how he needed it, and helped him spring for an explosive gain. So those are all positive things. And I know as receivers, they want to catch touchdowns, they want to catch the ball, but we just got to continue to spread the ball around and take it where take the football where it's supposed to go, when it's supposed to go there, and timing and rhythm and ball placement.
Mike, you mentioned last night how you guys are going to need Rhamondre this season. How do you balance holding someone accountable and valuing the message that might send to your team versus making sure you still have a guy on board in rhythm, et cetera, when you do feel like you need him down the line? Yeah, I mean, we're going to need him. We're going to need everybody. And he's got talent, skill set. He's a good protector. We trust him in protection. And, we'll get through this. And I think a lot of it is just the consistency and continuing to build confidence. But you have to go out there and do it. How I manage that from an accountability standpoint,
I would say as of now, I mean, I don't know what that'll look like later on the week as far as how we distribute the reps.
You did, just to follow up quickly, I remember it was your introductory press conference. You talked about accountability and how you kind of need to know guys before you can hold them accountable because you don't want there to be pushback.
No, I mean, I don't know if, I mean, I think to get to
know guys well enough now to hold them accountable right now.
Yeah, I mean, I do. But I mean, also got to try to balance, winning football games and gaining yards and scoring points and, all those things, right? So there's we just got to get it fixed, right? And I know there's no easy fix, and the only thing I know how to do is work, and we'll work at it. And if I feel like, or we feel like that it's, in the best interest to limit those opportunities, then we'll have to do that.
How do you handle the mental part of that, Mike? Listening to the Hall of Fame speeches, you hear Julian say, this guy believed in me, and when I was down and things like that. How important is that?
Well, I mean, we believe in them, or they wouldn't be here. We believe in them, each and every one of them. And again, just putting them in the positions that they feel comfortable and that there's trust, and they have confidence to do their job. And then as a professional athlete, like you have to be willing to risk something to get something out of it. I think that it's easy to sometimes second guess yourself. So, Rhamondre's, I'm sure, very aware of fumbling, and Antonio and Drake, everybody that fumbled. And so, we'll have to come back with a resolve to go. And what happens on one week doesn't necessarily guarantee it's going to happen the next week, and it can't. And I'm positive that it won't.
It's relatively early in the week, but do you anticipate having Terrell back with you guys at the end of this weekend?
We'll kind of see where things are here going forward here in the next couple of days. But he's Terrell's around. We just got to make sure that we're trying to build some consistency with how we do things.
Drake mentioned on his fumble that he was trying to make a play to Travion Henderson. I believe against the Raiders, he made a similar play where he was getting taken down and flipped it out. How do you walk that line, and where is the line with a young quarterback?
Well, I mean, I think we've heard it here before, but everybody's trying to make a play. We just need to make them good plays, and not putting the ball at risk, and understanding that there's a timing element to protection, and that we certainly don't have all day based on the amount of people that we keep in protection. So I think that's critical, that once it gets past the first or second read, that we're going to have to be ready to get rid of the football, or make sure that we're securing it at the end of the play.
Mike, we saw a lot more of Jack Gibbons and Charles Woods in this game. How do you think they held up with the increased opportunities?
Well, we played good defense and got stops when they were in there. I think they were okay, So, we were going to rotate, and when we rotated, we started, I don't think it was just those two players, solely, but we started playing good defense and settling down. So I think, we just stuck with it.
Mike,
And now, great moments in history.
Does that make any sense? I think the Patriots almost stole one.
Yeah.
They were in position to steal the game.
Okay.
They're on the 25-yard
like
line,
that.
up 3 with, 5 minutes left?
I like
You've
that.
got to put that game away.
Well, they were.
That's better for me.
I would say that they were better on
me to the
paper,
hill. I know.
but when you drop the ball 5-6 times, does that make you the better team?
Yeah, it means you were better. You just didn't execute.
So when you drop the ball, it makes you better?
Yeah, I mean, these guys just told you how open these guys were. You were lucky
No,
to
I know,
only
but if you drop the
23.
ball, you drop the ball. That's a lack of execution.
Right.
He would have
That
thrown for
doesn't-
400 yards.
You're
in
better.
this
You're
game
more
if he
talented than the
caught
other
the
team.
ball.
Yes. You did what you wanted to do more than they did what they wanted to do.
I think they wanted to catch the ball.
Did you ever see anybody so maddening as this?
Right?
Like,
right. I know
they
that
wanted
I
to make
just
the field
enjoyed
goal
it.
too, Fred, but the other guy blocked it. That's
Right.
that's bad execution.
Exactly.
Right? So
Yeah.
what are we doing?
That's another great moment from
All right, 855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Podcast at Patriots.com is the email address. Emails flying in. Calls are stacked up. V in Pittsburgh writes in, can you please talk about what's going on with Pop Douglas? Why is there such a disconnect with him and Drake? there was all this hope coming into the season that he'll have a bigger part of the offense, will be a reliable target. Drake and him just can't seem to get on the same page. What are you seeing?
Drake and him just can't seem to get on the same page. That's what I'm seeing. And again, this is another example of a guy who I thought had a pretty good summer, especially early. I think maybe he was a little quiet later in the summer, but I thought Douglas had a good summer. I thought he was really settling into this role in this new offense, and it just hasn't really translated. I did think he was going to play more in this game, which, he did with more man coverage from Pittsburgh. But, and I was talking to Evan, the frustrating thing is you look at some of the separation stats, and he's like the only guy who has significant separation of all the receivers. But he's not in the right spot sometimes. Drake isn't seeing him sometimes. We talked about the underthrown.
I really do think there's been a lot of bad luck involving those two guys.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. Like, he has a 17-yard catch wiped out with a penalty, the illegal man downfield. Then he's wide open on the swing pass in the right flat. And both guys sharing some of the blame, I think, on that play because the short arm throw, like Drake short arms it. But Pop also just keeps expanding into the sideline. So he just keeps getting further and further away from Drake as the ball is being thrown to him. He's just backpedaling like into space. And so that one could have been, I don't know, he could still
could have been a touchdown.
He still could be running. Like that could be a 40-yard, 50-yard play. And then he's crossing over the middle of the field late in the game and he's wide open again and Drake throws it behind him. Like these are just little things that they just, I don't know if it's that Pop isn't in the right spots or, it's just bad luck and Drake just has some bad throws and it happens to be the ones when he's targeting Pop. I don't know what the case may be, but the one thing just from Pop's perspective that I just have kind of thought about is like, I still wish his field awareness in the game sense was better. And I think that there's times when he's just making things harder than they need to be because he's just not 100% on the details. He's talented. He gets open. He's dynamic runner, but the details just don't seem to fully be there for him. Whereas, we're talking off the air, like Edelman's in the Patriots Hall of Fame because of the details, because he knew where to be, when to be there.
How many you need?
All the time.
I'll get you those.
And that's why he has a red jacket. Like that can be the difference for a lot of guys.
I read that one email, but there were a lot of emails that we got about Pop. I don't want to read them all. They're all kind of the same. But you mentioned the details. And when you look at that binky that Brady had all, throughout his career, whether it was Troy Brown or Wes Welker or Julian Edelman, all three of those guys, the one thing I think they all have in common is their football IQ. They were just so smart about the awareness of what's the situation, what's the defense look like, what do I need to get that first down? Even when I don't catch it, what do I do? Troy Brown against San Diego, knocking that ball away. Just the awareness of what the situation is and what needs to get done. I don't know if Pop has it or not yet. It's too early. But those three guys had it. And I'm wondering, at some point, do they want to see if Chisholm has it? Yeah. That type of awareness? Because he certainly doesn't have the athletic ability of Pop Douglas.
I was just going to say, the only thing I might push back on is it too early. I mean, this is what, year 3 for him?
Year. Either has it or you don't.
Kind of the same mistakes. I think of two quotes. I remember Drake in the summer asking him about what was going well with Pop, and he said, Pop, he's lining up in the right place. He's getting in the right spots. Really highlighted the mental aspect of it. And I also remember last year, kind of surprising to me, that Jacoby Brissett saying, I have to get used to throwing to a player of his size. And that was never anything that I really clocked. I mean, you mentioned Wes Welker coming through here, small guy. Never really seemed an issue. Of course, that's Brady. But generally across the league, I never really thought about smaller receivers, some quarterbacks maybe having a little bit of a hard time figuring out where their catch.
There's a lot of stuff. And I started off by saying I think there's been a lot of bad luck, and I do agree with that. And I think Evan pointed out a couple of plays that if you just had those two plays, one of them count and the other one complete, let's just call it a 20-yard gain. It may have been more than that. Mike and I actually looked at this play yesterday, Evan, that little swing pass. At the time of the throw, there was nobody even on the other side of the hash marks. Yeah. And at the time that he would have caught it, there was no one on the other side of the numbers. and there was really only one guy there, Peppers.
Yeah.
And that would have been a lot of green for him to have to try to navigate with a pretty slippery guy in the open field. We might look at it a little bit differently had those two plays gone the other way.
That's fair.
That said, the instinct stuff that Fred's talking about and that you guys are, that's relevant. And on fourth down, I applaud Drake May for saying, I wish I had gone over that we need to get a yard and this and that. That's great leadership. That's great leadership. But that should not have to be said. Demario Douglas needs to get that first down. Period. Like, he needs to be able to catch that pass. I hated the play call. I hated, asking a guy to catch it and get upfield to get a first down on 4th and 1. But as it was, like,
all he had to do was fall forward.
There's no reason for him. Now, the still shots are extremely deceptive.
I still don't think it's crazy easy that
No, it's not, because he wasn't going that direction.
Yeah.
Everybody just said, just fall down.
Yeah.
But he intentionally gave ground.
Right.
You're looking to beat. It's exactly what Vrabel said. And Evan and I were talking, like, put your foot in the ground and knife through the two defenders and make sure you get the first down. Don't try to dip around one of the defenders to potentially make a big play. You can't do that. He needs to get that. Needed to be a first down 100 times out of 100, and he didn't get the first down. So, like, I'm not absolving Demario Douglas of responsibility, but I do think there's a variety of things going wrong when it comes to him, and it's not all his fault.
Yeah. And to your point, even you said the big play. If he made the big play, we might look at things different. Even that 1 yard little play, if he knifed through, picked up the first down, kept the chains moving, and maybe set like.
Well, if he ends up with 5, so that's 3 catches, right? Well, no, that's 2 more catches and more yards, right? You look at it much differently,
especially just in the key moments.
Even how about the little play that one of the catches that he did make that he sort of stopped, slid, his knee comes down. That was a great little move, and the guy ended up having his hand on him when his knee was still down, so he was down by contact, but. It shows you sort of the potential that he has
there you
to bring
go, Paul.
some plays to the offense. But,
yeah, see?
But I got to tell you, I'm not sure he's going to have it, Fred, because I think he might be on the way out. I think you got, the Chisholm Brigade, I think, is probably at some point going to get their wish.
So just
although I would go with Diggs. I think Diggs should be in that role more. I would give him more opportunities.
So just 2 things. One, on the 4th down play, they send double edge pressure. They blitzed.
Oh, no.
And so he's hot, right? So, like, he's got to throw the ball. And I actually thought that it was a pretty good answer for the pressure that they got. I get, like, wanting to throw the ball past the sticks, but in that situation, I got sort of, they were running kind of like little stick to the field side, and they had Diggs running, like, an inside hook, and then Pop was going to run the flat. And Pop, the weirdest part about the play is that Pop had the wherewithal to stop and turn for the ball.
Knew he was hot.
Knew that the blitz was coming. I think Diggs pointed at it and yelled right before the snap. But he knew that
blitz coming.
He knew Ramsey was blitzing, and so he knew he was getting the ball, and then he got it and he just froze. And it was just very odd that he kind of did the right thing, but then didn't at the same time. And that part of it was strange.
To your point, and I'm not going to get into an X's and O's thing because I'm not as well versed on it as you. I like those plays when they're coming off the edge like that, and they're coming. I just see so many times they have the little guy just leak out into the flat behind one of those blitzers, and you just loft it over the oncoming. In this case, Jalen Ramsey's
there's nothing but space,
and there's no one there. And but you don't. It might be a big play, but even if it's a 3-yard gain, it's beyond the sticks. If they have someone there to make the tackle. You have the first down.
That's why I wanted to just because I know that a lot of people agree with you. So they had a trap corner on that side of the field that was layered like to protect against what you're talking about. So that's why the ball went underneath, and the corner made a really good play to have eyes and shoot a
when
shot.
they didn't get that play. The game was over, but didn't you get that? Oh, come on! It can't be over now. Give us one more chance.
No, that's the worst. When it just pitters out, like you're like you got all that emotional. Like I think we were 4th down, and then no, it's over. That's it.
I just wonder with with the Chisholm thing, like I think Pop is a much more athletic and more dynamic player than Efton Chisholm, but they might just need a yard. Like, they might just need the guy that's just going to catch the ball and is going to charge forward and split two guys and
I'd
get
rather that be
yardage.
Stephon Diggs, to be honest with you.
I just don't know if that's even his game, Like, so it just, I don't think that Chisholm's going to cure everything and that's like the answer. And then all of a sudden Chisholm's going to have this like Julian Edelman arc where he's just like the guy now. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the case, but he might just be a little bit more gritty and like tougher in those types of moments in terms of like the physical aspect of it. And we saw that in the preseason.
The Minnesota game.
When he's breaking tackles and things like that.
Third downs,
So,
and he's 4 yards short of the chains.
Car wash, but that's okay.
Well,
he did it.
Henderson in the preseason too.
Deshaun's in Virginia on the hotline. What's up, Deshaun?
Hello, guys. How you guys doing?
All right.
Good. I just want to say that this team is basically cooked simply because they have too many guys that are mistake prone. And I think when you got too many guys that are mistake prone on the team, I think it's cause for concern, and you might have to make some tough decisions moving forward. Because it's bad enough they already have a quarterback that makes enough mistakes. If you got guys like Stevenson that constantly fumbles the ball, it puts the team in a hard place. Like, it deflates the team. It kills the flow. It kills the energy and everything. You don't need stuff like that. And then also, when you look at the offense, I don't think it's sustainable for all the reasons that you guys just said. As far as like not having a vertical dynamic player down the field, it's no explosion. So you can't keep running yourself to victory and expect that it's going to have success on the field. There's no explosive plays. Now, when it comes to Pop Douglas, people need to stop blaming him because every time when Drake May throws him the ball, he steals him. So who is that really on? That's all I really have to say.
Okay.
It's different on every one. Every play is different.
He's what?
Who's it on? I think he said.
Oh,
I would say some plays it's on Demario Douglas. Some plays it's on Drake May. Some plays it's on
both of them.
Goes back to the first. There's just something going on with that connection where they don't have that chemistry that I think a lot of people just assume would come naturally to the slot position in the Josh McDaniels offense. That
we've had guys in the past, Paul, on this team where we say, man, it just seems like they make the easy ones look hard and the hard ones look impossible. I don't know. Brandon Lloyd was one of those
always
guys.
Flying through the
just
air.
like something, every throw and every catch was like, did it really need to have to be that hard?
Yeah.
It was,
N'Keal Harry kind of felt like that.
The
to me a
height
little
thing
bit.
is in the catch radius. I mean, I've been on this for a while.
That's big.
And the second level crosser that Drake almost threw a pick on, it's in front of him, and like it's not the best throw, but it's also a 5'7" guy that he's targeting like 15 yards down the field. Like if that's Diggs or Booty or Hollins, and they have they might get their hand on that pass, and at least it's knocked down and not thrown directly to the safety behind him. And it's just when you watch it too from the overhead, like you just seeing this little 5'7" guy like running down the field, and you're like, this is a hard target to hit.
Yeah.
For a quarterback, especially if it's in tight spaces. And I just wonder if that is it for Drake, is maybe like the mental piece of that.
Yeah. But it's in the same, I mean, Booty's not the biggest guy in the world, but it seems like Drake has plenty of confidence. That one dig he threw to him on that third down, I mean, probably maybe the best throw that he had in the game. That's what I like about, we haven't seen enough of Booty and Diggs, but they both have come through with some big plays, like Diggs with the third down conversions. He hasn't had a high amount of volume, but I feel like I'm growing to trust him in key situations. Even Booty, to that extent, going down the field, catching the ball in the end zone, making tough plays. Like, I haven't earned that trust with Pop
You're
Douglas
starting to
yet.
get to the point where you're wondering about Booty, why he isn't being targeted a little bit more often because of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The first game, obviously the volume was there. The last two games, almost no targets, but you remember them.
Yeah.
You remember the catches.
Yeah, he's got
do you
great
think
hands.
that other
big
teams are now
players.
paying more attention to him, or?
I don't think so.
No?
Not yet. But
I just don't think he's a super dynamic player, and he within the framework of the offense, he'll catch it when you throw it to him. But I don't know if he's affecting coverage, and and that's when I look at it, that's what I see. I just don't see guys who are pulling coverage or fighting. It's guys who, for the most part, it looks like the offense is kind of stuck in mud still.
Okay. Back to the phones. Colby's in Texas. Hey, Colby.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'm more of a glass half full kind of guy on this game because despite all of the turnovers, we still had a chance to win at the very end. So, I mean, I was upset with the fumbles. I was absolutely livid with the Pop Douglas play. So I guess my question is you think Mike Vrabel is glass half full or half empty?
Oh, half full.
Full.
I would hope.
I would say that they would be encouraged by, if we can get out of our own way, we have a chance to do some things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But
thanks, Colby.
I do think, and I was listening to some Paul shows this morning actually on my way in here today, and I think they bring up a good point about Rhamondre specifically, but I think you can talk about it with Pop too. It's a really difficult spot for Vrabel because you're trying to preach winning football and accountability and don't do the S that gets you beat and all this other stuff that they're trying to build this culture around. But he's also like one of your best players on offense, and it's a hard thing to do. Like I don't envy like the decisions that they have to make with Rhamondre because they might have to make a really hard decision and sit him down.
Yeah.
And it might not be what's best for the team in the short term in terms of, production on the field on Sunday against Carolina, but it might be what they have to do from a culture building standpoint.
The program.
Now Colby's question, my instinct is, he's glass half full. But behind the scenes, given the roster, he has to be careful about raising those expectations too high, especially with ownership, where he's like, I'm doing the best I can given what we have.
Well, I would hope he's not worried about stuff like that.
But, when you're talking to ownership, you have to be like, okay, this is what we can do, but this is what we can't do. So you need to be patient a little bit.
I think they're good enough, though, roster talent-wise, to win a game like on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Both like this coming up Sunday and last Sunday.
The irony to me,
I think the ownership wants playoffs.
The irony to me is you could make an argument, at least I could, that the two games they lost, they had more than enough talent to win. In the one game that they won, I would say the other team probably had more talent.
Right.
I mean, what the Raiders have been since that opening day is, borderline train wreck. And I'm sorry, the Patriots were the better team Sunday. They had the better talent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they don't have
They did.
Yeah.
Better talent that was suited up that day. Now, maybe if Pittsburgh was full strength, I might
even on defense.
Talk to me with Joey Porter and Deshaun Elliott out there. Maybe all the guys that Evan's talking about that were open and schemed open. Maybe those don't happen if their secondary was at full strength. But maybe if Alex Highsmith is playing instead of Nate Herbig, maybe I think a little bit differently. But what I saw on Sunday, the Patriots were the better team.
Yeah.
If that's off base, then you guys can feel free
I think
to
they
disagree.
played better. There's no doubt.
I think they had better players.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, the only thing with, I'm not trying to, I don't know. I think they have good enough players to be a competitive team this year.
We've seen it.
I don't think the roster is so, deprived of talent like we've seen over the last 2 years.
I agree.
That we can only expect them to win 4 or 5 games. Like they have a lot better players this year than they had over the last couple of seasons. Obviously, the quarterback is the biggest of it all, but even having guys, like Diggs, guys like Milton Williams, those are guys that they didn't have. Landry.
Yeah.
Spillane. Like they're better players than the guys. Campbell's a better left tackle than Vidarian Lowe. Morgan Moses is a better right tackle than Demontre Jacobs. So they have enough talent. They got to stop getting themselves beat.
Yeah. No, in Toronto, Sunday's game was frustrating, but I agree that there are reasons to be optimistic. The offense has shown signs of life, maybe not intelligent life, but life. Drake looks good if you cover your eyes for 2 plays a game, 8th in EPA per dropback. And most importantly, we are competitive. Last year, we lost 7 games by more than 1 score. We've had a real chance to win every game this year. Okay? I'm all for that.
I've been very optimistic about Drake for the last 2 games, but we were talking about this earlier, Deuce. The one concern that I have with him is this was his entire career at North Carolina, where
it was a big part of the post-game show.
I didn't know that. his entire career at North Carolina, I remember watching his tape at, coming into the draft, being like, this guy is awesome. Like, holy crap, is this guy good? And then you'd look up at the scoreboard in the fourth quarter and they'd be down 2 touchdowns. And you'd be like, wait a second, like how? It's because all of these little misses and these near completions that we're talking about, and the red zone turnovers and like all these little things that kind of get washed out by, holy crap, did you see that throw?
Right.
Those are the things that end up costing you in games. And my only concern with Drake is that hasn't been coached out of him yet, that he's still not consistent.
Yeah.
Play in, play out.
And my only hope, and I said a little bit of this on the post game show, is just that hasn't had a lot of continuity in his offenses going back to college and into his first 2 years as a pro, and that if he can get comfortable in the system and really just have a couple years to settle in and to start to build his confidence, that maybe we can get rid of those plays. And that's really the final frontier for him, right? I mean, if you just clean up those few plays a game, know when to take the loss, know when to take the sack, know when to throw it away. Hopefully those things come with experience and you can get rid of some of these game-changing mistakes.
Eddie writes in, whatever happened to taking advantage of bad football? We're an A-chain step away from being 0-3. We better not get caught looking ahead to Buffalo. That's another way of looking at it.
A blade of grass of Pop Douglas's foot from being 2-1. Like you can do this all day.
Yeah, that's why like the last email about like last year, all the games that they weren't competitive in. Well, that's not what we were hearing all of last year. All we were hearing about was all the one-score losses they had and how much better they could have been. Generally, it's what you are. And I agree with Evan. You could make an argument for 2-1. You could make an argument for 0-3. They probably deserve to be 1-2.
Josh, in Atlanta, while I don't fully jive with Evan's nerd fantasies, I do have respect for a coach that maintains a consistent identity when it comes to game management. Like it or hate it, you know where Vrabel stands in short yardage or 2-minute drill situations, not to pile on Mayo, but it never looked like he was remotely prepared in these same got-to-have-it moments. There's a lot to fix here, but there are signs of a young culture that's taking shape.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of that. I mean, the Mayo
you think there's nothing to fix, but there's no signs.
No, the Mayo part of being prepared, and that might be accurate, I don't know, and I think Vrabel is certainly more prepared, but I don't like a guy that already knows before the game what he's doing. I don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want the opponent to know that.
I don't.
No, I mean,
I know what
if
you're
he's
saying.
just deciding, well, if it's 4th and 1, I'm going for it every time because my model says I'm going for it. What do I need you for then?
That's not what's happening, though.
No, but that's what the email is suggesting. Sure. I want a guy who knows what he's doing and has strength in his conviction. No, I want a guy who takes the numbers and uses the numbers, but not as a Bible,
right?
Like every Major League Baseball manager right now.
Yeah, and I do think you have
some feel.
Yeah,
I do think you have that. I think you have people in the organization who are definitely analytically driven and are doing that sort of stuff.
And I like that.
But I don't think that Vrabel is dead set on making the decision that they tell him to make.
Like based on that email, I would expect him to go for every 4th and 1 from his own 15-yard line this season.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
I don't think he will.
And I don't think that will happen either.
No, but
he's just crazy enough to do it if you want to try him.
It's good though. I like it.
Jack in Inaba says the success of the Detroit Lions under Dan Campbell holds a hidden, hopeful message for the Patriots. The Lions are successful because of their head coach, Dan Campbell. Campbell is effective primarily because he's a leader of men, not an analytics nerd like the coaches at Miami and Los Angeles. When Mr. Kraft hired
the most analytically driven organization in the league.
When Mr. Kraft,
it's unbelievable. They just ignored everything Evan said.
When Mr. Kraft hired,
talking about?
When Mr. Kraft hired a new coach for the Patriots, he hired Mike Vrabel, who, like Dan Campbell, is primarily a leader of men, not an analytics nerd. Mr. Kraft's decision to hire Mike Vrabel bodes well for the future of the Patriots.
That's just insulting.
Those are two of the more analytically driven guys, Vrabel and Campbell, that you'll find. That's all Dan Campbell does is just slave to the numbers.
Well, like before Detroit turned the corner, people made fun of him because
they were ahead of the curve.
He was just following orders from the analytics room.
Mm-hmm.
They're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So. And Jack in Ann Arbor, you're from Michigan, so you should know better. Anyway, but it does seem like he plays out of instincts. But you're claiming that the analytics back him up.
You can actually see it, like how prepared they are when it's
I'm
third
talking about
down.
Campbell now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see it last night. They talked about it a lot. I thought Aikman and Buck did a great job of actually explaining how they know now on third down that they have 2 downs to get this. And the players know. And that's all pre-planned. Again, I don't need Dan Campbell might be a great leader. I'm not saying that he's not.
Of men.
Yeah. I'm not saying
He's
that
terrible
he's not.
with women. They don't listen to him.
That's disrespectful.
It's only been 2 games that they, have won so far, Detroit, because they had a stinker in the opener. I will give Dan Campbell his flowers and apologize, though, because they've looked pretty good on offense without Ben Johnson over the last 2
Lions
weeks.
this week? I think I did.
I believe you did. Well, at least with the spread. I think you took him with the spread.
okay.
I think you took Baltimore to win
Did I?
and Detroit with the spread.
Okay. I knew I had something going on with Detroit.
The one thing
you
about,
continue to have a feel for the league, Fred. You were in first place.
Did you notice that Dan Campbell, and I'm probably the only one that noticed this, he had a play sheet last night, and
I didn't watch that closely.
So there are
You sure it was a play sheet, not a Superman comic?
It's a play sheet.
Or a Cheesecake Factory
And
menu like Andy Reid.
there are some murmurings that he might actually be calling the offense himself.
Wow.
And if that is the case, then I sincerely apologize to you, Dan Campbell.
So they were
I
giving
was
John
not
Morton a
familiar
lot
with
of
your
props
game.
last night.
Listen, you got to love Dan Campbell. He's shown everyone wrong.
No, you don't have to. But yeah.
I kind of agree with you, Fred. And I'm be one of the guys that puts my hand up and say I was wrong.
We all
I
laughed
thought
at
he
him
was-
with the biting the kneecaps.
Oh,
and
yeah.
But even before that, I kind of thought he was just one of these typical hardos that just thinks you can be like more enthusiastic before the game, and that's going to allow you to win. But clearly, he has more going on than I.
Do you think part of it is though? Maybe this is a cliche, but establishing a program and having a quarterback continuity, and everybody's just on the same page and they know what kind of team you want to be, and so I think that builds in a little bit of leeway when you lose coordinators or you lose a key player. You saw it around here for a long time. You didn't always know what the answer was, but you knew that you had a good culture and that player would somehow emerge.
You had a foundation.
When Jack's email started and he was talking about taking solace in what Detroit's done, I thought he was going in a different direction, which I would be wholeheartedly in agreement with, and that's sort of how they're building. Well, at least looks like they're trying to build. They have the young quarterback. They got Goff, so it's a different way to get him. But at the time they got Goff, he was still a young quarterback, and they built obviously up front, by drafting Sewell, and they had Ragnow, who's since retired.
Aiden Hutchinson on the other side.
So you look at the 2 rookies that the Patriots are plugging in on the offensive line. I think that their hope is maybe we're not ready, much like when Campbell got there and they went 3-13-1 or whatever it was. We're going to put these building blocks in place, and it's maybe not right now, but in 2 years we're going to be pretty good.
Right.
So you have to hope. Will Campbell and Jared Wilson are really good. By that time probably Bradbury's gone. You've replaced him with a younger center, and that's like the foundation in front of May. And then if Kyle Williams sort of emerges as maybe like Jamison Williams, someone like that. I'm not saying Kyle Williams is that dynamic, but work with me here.
Right, yeah.
And you get another weapon to replace Diggs, who's not going to be here long term. That's what I think that the vision is.
Yeah, and then maybe you get to a point in a couple of years where a player like Jahmyr Gibbs that maybe the rest of the league doesn't see it, but you can make a luxury pick, whereas, last couple of years, probably next year getting into the draft, you say, look, we need a number 1 receiver. We got to find some speed, and, probably going to need an edge at some point. But, you feel like you might have the cornerback, you might have the quarterback, you might have the left tackle now. The receiver and the pass rusher are probably the 2 big pieces you still need.
And
but
next year, if this, and I know the quarterbacks in college, the quarterbacks in college, I think to this point in the season have been a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that think there's a fair amount of first-round picks at quarterback, which is a tremendous advantage for you.
Yeah.
If it works out that way. If you let's just say for argument's sake, they get the 16th pick. It's right in the middle of the round. Right? So they become an average team this year, and they pick in the middle of the first round. If 4 or 5 of those picks end up being quarterbacks, that allows you to get maybe a wide receiver that you might not have gotten if you were in this year's draft.
Like Jordan Tyson. I think the big thing that
I even look ahead 2 years to see
if we've got a Campbell, I want a Tyson too.
Well, the big thing that Deuce said there that is, the Lions kind of had this slow burn where Dan Campbell's first season, they won 3 games. The second season, they were 8-9 or 9-8 or something like that. And then in 2023, they drafted Gibbs. And it was Gibbs, it was Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta's in there somewhere. Like, and
Great
they
drafts. Great
but
drafts.
In order to do that, like, I think the Patriots might have like one more year where they're kind of not there yet.
Yeah.
And that would be this season.
Yeah.
Right. And so the Lions' original pick in that draft was 18. They traded up to 12 to draft Jahmyr Gibbs. But as much as I want to see the Patriots back in the playoffs and all that stuff, like having one more year where you're picking like 12th in each round and you're able to
Wouldn't be
like
bad.
have one more draft class, like hopefully this one is, and well, I was going to say last year, but
Well,
not so much.
especially
But,
if you get
one
Freddie's
is.
thing right off the top of the show, and the number one objective this year was to hope that you saw that progression for Drake May.
Yeah.
And it's early, but we've seen progression from Drake May.
Definitely.
Yep. Let's go to Randy in Providence. What's up, Randy?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. So I'm calling. Obviously there's some good things that happen in the game. You don't get that close to winning a game. You have five turnovers in without a lot of good things happening. But there are three players that I'm concerned about after a couple games here, and number one on that list is Will Campbell. I feel like it's getting glossed over a lot. Everybody was worried about the match about T.J. Watt, and then he ended up just getting manhandled by Nick Herbig. For
Manhandle's a little strong.
Well, he gave up 7 pressures. Nick Herbig had a total.
Not according to some.
2024.
Seven's that
I believe
was
PFF had him for none.
no, they had him for 4.
No, who was the one that had him for none?
No sacks.
AWS went on one of those.
It doesn't. It's semantics, but manhandle was a little strong. Anyways,
Beaten. Yeah, I saw him get run
it
by.
felt
I didn't
like
see him
there
get
was a
manhandled. I
lot.
agree with you.
There was a lot of pressure coming off the left side.
I don't agree with that.
It wasn't a great day, I don't think. For
I think
the
a lot.
offensive
I
line.
just don't agree with a lot. I'm sorry. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Well, my question, I guess, moving forward, looking at the offensive line, looking down the road, are we going to be looking to shift those two guys inside, where Campbell goes to guard, Wilson to center, and then add a tackle moving down the road, or are we going to be looking at adding a younger center at some point in time and keeping those guys where they are?
I just think it's too early to say that. Who are the other two guys that we have concerns about?
Alex Austin and Carlton Davis. I think Carlton Davis is right now through 3 games. He's ranked 69th out of 158 cornerbacks. It's about halfway. I thought he got burned by Dante Thornton in the first game, and then the GK Metcalf catch for the touchdown where Davis didn't even get off his feet to contest that. I just think he's been disappointing. He's again ranked right near the middle of the pack, both overall and in coverage, 75 out of 158. And I just think he's been disappointing. I understand that Gonzalez is not there, and that when he is, the assignments kind of move down a level. But I wonder how you guys feel about Carlton Davis. Alex Austin has obviously been the dumpster fire. But how do you guys feel about Carlton Davis's performance through a couple games? And I mean, Gonzalez coming back, this would be a good game for him to come back, right? Because T-Mac is not a burner. He's their lead receiver, but he's a guy that Gonzalez should be able to keep up with pretty easily. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah.
I'm not as down on Carlton Davis.
No, he's
as
given
that.
up a couple plays, but that was a tough touchdown.
The
he gave
NFL.
up. I
No,
mean,
but I would just say, like,
He's given up 2 catches the whole year.
what I can't stand. I mean, it's not going to come as a surprise to you guys. Is that I think these numbers and these rankings have completely destroyed fandom.
You took the
in
words
NFL.
out of my mouth. So you're saying he's given up 2 passes all year.
Right. So his percentage.
how does he get down?
So his percentage is terrible because he hasn't really been thrown out a lot.
Right.
And one of the catches that he gave up, to Evan's point, was a big play.
Well,
so the numbers is going to say that he's terrible,
Right.
but it's really a very small sample size.
I think we're just talking, and I'm.
Does it take into consideration like they didn't throw that way because he was in good coverage?
No. But
so then, what are we talking about?
I'll cover it. I don't mean to pick on Randy. I know I got on him about Will Campbell. He picked 2 positions where when you make like 1 or 2 glaring mistakes, it's obvious, right? Like corner and tackle are 2 positions where
tackle is the corner of the offense,
right? Where if you give up a sack as a tackle or you give up a touchdown as a corner, then you automatically had a bad game or a good game. It's just the way. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. I would say with those 2 positions, like Carlton Davis, he said he didn't leave his feet. on the DK play, well, he's out of phase, so he's driving the catch point. He's not supposed to leave his feet. He didn't cover the play well, but that was the one catch he gave up the entire game.
Yeah, and I'm not telling you Davis has been great in these 3 games, but I would just say that and I'm not picking on Randy either. I agree with you, Ev. But I think if you didn't have these sites that have all this charting, I don't think people would look at the games, the 3 games, just watch the games and say, you know what a big problem is? Carlton Davis. I don't think he's shown up. I don't think that he's really been like a big part of these games. The Dante Thornton play on opening day was glaring. That was a bad error. He got beat on a double move. It happens, whatever. I agree with Evan. I didn't see the ball getting thrown towards 7 very often.
Why would you throw it at 7? Like he's the
when you got 28 out there, they're picking on him. And even then, Alex Austin has struggled. I would agree with Randy on that.
That one is the one I agree with him on.
I would agree that he has struggled, but even he hasn't been the huge amount of volume because they're not really picking on the corners all that much. They're like finding guys in space. They're, in Miami, how many times did they get sort of linebackers in matchups that they wanted to get and exploiting the outside edges of the, with Hill and Waddle in that game. So I don't even think the corners have been that, that glaring. I agree Austin has struggled, and I've been disappointed by that because I thought he looked good in training camp.
He did.
I thought he had a strong training
and I
camp.
think
He
he'll
looked
look
like a
better
solid.
if Gonzo's on the field.
He looked like a solid option. He hasn't been.
Yeah.
I don't think as much of him. I'm not as confident of him being able to do his job now.
Yeah, I just and
I was.
You're right. 3 games in, and we're way too early to make any declarations on Will Campbell one way or another. But if we're just evaluating the 3 games, like saying that they need to move him off of left tackle
too early
it is kind of crazy.
I thought he was pretty good against Miami.
It was really good against Miami, but this game Herbig got him. He definitely he won the matchup. Now I push back on Randy because I don't think like he acted like Will Campbell was a turnstile on Sunday, and I don't think it was that.
I wouldn't necessarily say Will Campbell specifically. I would just say I thought Pittsburgh had a lot of quick pressure in this game, and then I was stunned to find out that for once one of my moronic takes, Mike actually looked it up, and the numbers, bore it out. I wasn't. I didn't know what the number would be, but it just felt to me.
It's just weird.
There was a lot of
what
quick
was their
pressure.
blitz rate?
It was
not a ton, but I think like Herbig specifically, like those are the types of guys that are going to be tough matchups for Campbell right now because he's got speed off the edge, and the guys that really get him opened up to the outside, and then he hit him twice with double move, inside moves, I should say, after he kind of set up the speed.
Which is why I disagree. I think, what do you say, manhandle?
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran by him. He wasn't manhandling him. I think when Will Campbell's able to lock up with guys, he's going to win those more often than not.
Strong guy.
Like Bradley Chubb.
Eric's in New Jersey. Hey, Eric.
Hey, how you guys doing? I want to make 2 points real quick. I know Paul's going to hate this comparison because he thinks this guy's a dink. But Drake May, I think he shows a lot of flashes, and I thought the world of Jay Cutler. Could spin the ball better than nobody, can run.
No,
I kind of see like the same.
It's a great comp. It's a great comp. I agree with you. Now the thing about Jay Cutler that was so maddening was he had all of these skills and didn't seem. I don't know Jay Cutler. I don't know what was in his heart, but he didn't seem like he cared all that much.
You can tell.
He was kind of indifferent. I don't think it didn't seem like it mattered that much to him.
Yeah.
So, I haven't seen any evidence of that in Drake May.
No.
Right.
That it's not important to him, that he's not serious about what he does. But from a physical perspective, that's a good comp. He's got a lot of the similar skill sets.
He's a little bit more, Drake's a little bit more mobile than Jay
Cutler.
Cutler
Could move, though. I think May's an exceptional athlete. I don't think Cutler was, but.
No, I mean, those are the types of quarterbacks.
Good mobility.
Jay Cutler's, the Trevor Lawrence's, like the guys that are just.
They got all the things.
And Jay Cutler was another guy in college. Now, he played at Vanderbilt, which makes it a little bit even more difficult. But you kind of watched him and you're like, why doesn't this guy win more?
Yeah. Yeah, Fred, it was the highest blitz rate and the highest pressure rate in terms of for the Patriots offense of the 3 games against Pittsburgh.
So they blitzed and got there.
So Pittsburgh blitzed the highest.
Yep.
What was their blitz rate?
It's been rising, 42.6.
Huh.
At least according to Next Gen.
Maybe they count some of those 5-man rushes as blitzes.
Yeah.
Semantics.
But it went 26, 37, 42. So it's been going up. The pressure rate has been
See, I'm surprised because I felt like the Raiders
36,
just blitzed
40.
every play in the second half of that game, which kind of shut down their offense that day.
Yeah.
But that's the lowest rate that they had was the
26,
Raiders.
but I don't know. They might not have blitzed at all in the first half.
It's funny that used to curl up Bill's backside, like the 5-man
Blitz rate,
rushes.
yeah, right.
Like if there's 5 down on the line of scrimmage, then that's not a blitz.
Not a blitz.
Right.
A blitz is coming from the second or third level.
I have 5 guys to
I thought a
block.
blitz is when you rush more than they're blocking.
Well, and technically it's 5, but I agree
Yeah.
with Evan.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like if I have 5 blockers and they're sending 5 guys,
That's
that
always
shouldn't
five's
be-
always the
it
delineation.
shouldn't be considered a blitz, but it is.
It's 4 or below or 5+. That's kind of
Oh,
usually.
but I thought a blitz is when they send an extra guy.
No.
It's
No, it
not
makes
where they
sense.
send it. It's
Yeah.
just
I'm with you.
Yeah.
No, but when you if there's 5 guys across the line of scrimmage, right, and then there's 5 offensive linemen.
Not a blitz.
So
yeah, but sometimes guys drop out, and then it comes from a safety.
Then
or
that's a
whatever.
blitz.
That's a blitz.
That's a
right.
blitz.
But it doesn't matter where they come from. It's how many come.
But if they run,
But if I have an extra tight end as a blocker, then it's not a blitz
But-
because it's 5 on 5, 5 hats on 5 hats.
but
that
it'd
would
be
be
5.
6.
That'd be 6 on 5.
Whatever. If I have a hat on every hat, it's not a blitz.
Right. That's what I'm. Yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
we're all
doesn't
saying the
matter
same
where it
thing.
comes
I
from.
don't know what they're arguing about.
Yeah, we're
Is
saying.
this what
Now you know how I feel.
How
this
does,
what
it
it's
not,
like?
how does it not matter where it comes from, though? This is the
No,
part that I'm
no,
getting tripped
because
up on.
if they only have 5, if I have 5 blockers and they
Yeah.
have 5 people coming,
Yeah.
it's not a blitz. I don't care if it comes from the safety.
But it matters a lot because of the protection scheme.
Well, they might screw up because of that, but that doesn't mean it's a blitz.
But it's not screwing up.
So if they drop a defensive tackle and a cornerback comes on the blitz, is that a blitz? They're
That's a
only
blitz.
rushing 5.
no,
That's a
no,
cornerback.
because
It
you
has-
drop somebody out.
But
That's a zone.
That's
blitz.
a red dog.
no. Red dog is something.
Steelers, and Steelers
Fire
Red
parlance.
dog is something different.
just dropped the
No.
red dog out of nowhere.
it's not-
Red dog is just a blitz.
No.
You like that?
But when you're dropping guys and you're bringing other guys, there's different zone blitzes.
Right, but
Like, it's still a blitz.
but it's
That's 100%
it's
a blitz.
disguised pressure. It's not
Right, but then you're sliding the line in a different direction.
okay. So
Oh,
you
but there you
screwed
go.
up.
No, you didn't.
You didn't read where the pressure's coming from. That doesn't mean it's a blitz.
What do you mean? That is exactly what it means.
Okay.
Fred,
So every time you can't read the pressure, it's a blitz.
If you are 5 down on the line of scrimmage,
Yeah.
and then they drop somebody out, but they blitz a safety.
Well, so you're using that word indiscriminately when
rush
they
a safety.
bring a safety.
They bring a safety.
Okay.
And they have 5 guys initially on the line of
Yeah,
scrimmage.
yeah.
The offensive line has to block the bigs. You're not going to point the
But
offensive
now
line
there's
away.
only 4 bigs to block because somebody dropped out.
But you don't know that until the ball is snapped.
Okay, but that's called disguised pressure. It's not a blitz.
You know what this is? This is a souped up version of a trick play on offense.
This is true.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No.
Evan's right.
No.
Can I give you an example?
A cornerback doesn't typically rush the passer.
Yeah.
So when he does, that's a blitz.
So what if they only had 2 guys on the line, defense, and a corner came? Is that a blitz?
No,
Because
because
there's only 3 guys
the
going
tackle
forward,
the-
then that would be different.
Why?
But the quarterback
Why?
still blitz.
Quarterback doesn't always.
But the
come.
quarterback is still blitzing.
I would say
No,
that's,
he's bringing.
I would say that
it's not blitzing.
I would say that would still be a blitz if they had simulated pressure before the snap.
No, I'm talking about 2 guys line up on the defense and then
they blitz a corner.
and they bring a corner.
When do
So
they do that?
But where are the other big guys?
Yeah,
They,
right.
they don't
Like,
have
are
big
they
guys
dropped
on-
off 10
no,
yards back on
they-
the line of
they-
scrimmage?
Now we have 9 defensive
No,
backs.
it's a lighter front.
It's a blitz.
They have more safeties in, or they they
But
don't.
so no team would ever do that then.
What are you talking about? The Patriots used to have
So
2
they have-
tackles on the line of line.
But they didn't send a cornerback from 10 yards back.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just
But that's
talking
what
about
you- that's what you
talking about
just
people
said.
on the field. Talking about people. You said, "Oh, no one would ever just have 2 people on the line."
I didn't say that.
happens. You
I
just
said-
did say it.
I said they wouldn't have the cornerback 10 yards off the line and then blitz with only 2 guys.
How do you know?
Because
Maybe Brian Flores would. Brian Flores would do something like
Right.
that.
By the time that happens, if you only have 2, so in other words, in your scenario, there's only 2 guys that 5 guys are responsible for. Everybody else is back.
Yeah.
In your scenario, everybody else is like off the line of scrimmage. There's only 2 possibilities.
Yeah, and I'm not saying way back. I'm talking about off the line, right?
Right. Off.
But this
They're
is
2
this
feet
is
up,
literally
no
how,
stands. Yeah.
This is how all the defense.
This is what I'm saying. It wouldn't. No one would ever do that. That's my point.
Oh, I disagree.
So, I'll give you an example, in real world example here. Okay, so last week in Miami, Drake May's touchdown run. Judon was unblocked off the edge. It was a 5-down defensive line. They set the mic for a 4-down defensive line. So they actually had 5-on-5, but they slid the line accidentally. It was they messed up the mic point.
So was that a blitz?
No, it wasn't a blitz
right.
because they had 5-on-5.
Yeah.
So that one was like a mental brain fart that they should have been able to reset the mic and get all 5 of the guys blocked.
Yep.
But now if you have those 5 bigs and Judon drops out and a corner blitzes, that's a blitz.
But you keep using that word blitz.
Because he's blitzing.
Yeah.
Bringing pressure.
Yeah, I was taught a blitz is when you send an extra guy.
So I think in general terms, I would agree with you.
I think,
but what he's talking about, like when you have the protection set, you have 5 guys on the line.
But that's the whole point is you try to trick them.
No, I understand that, but maybe one of those guys simulates like he's going and then stops.
Yep.
And then another, like a defensive back comes. That's a blitz, even though you only bring in 5 guys. That's still a blitz.
I think it's just disguised pressure.
And like your thing with 2 guys, like that's what they're trying to do is confuse you.
Yeah.
But they're not going to have everybody, like they're not going to have 9 guys off the line and only 2 guys on, and then think you're going to get confused where it's going to come from.
I was always taught when a team blitzes, they're taking a chance.
Yeah.
They're taking a risk because they're using an extra guy to get there.
Right.
That's what I was taught with a blitz.
You know, the fewer guys you have in coverage, the more man coverage you have. And one guy loses.
But when you drop somebody out into coverage and move another guy, it's less of a risk. It's not a blitz. Yeah. That's just what I was taught.
I hear what you're saying.
You know,
I just think that
the people I was taught by had wider pants. You know, they weren't as tight.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just telling, like, from an offensive line perspective, like you're setting the protection pre-snap.
Fine,
based off of where
stop using the word blitz.
Where the threats are. So
nothing you're saying is wrong.
You're sliding it.
PFWism.
You're sliding it this way, and then they're bringing pressure from the other way. Like there's no way you're going to be able to block that guy. Like it's
unless you're Tom Brady and you point it out.
Even him.
That did you?
Like the only way that you're blocking that
because he had all the answers.
Tom Brady didn't point it out. Tom Brady knew that guy's coming unblocked.
That's right.
It's Ed Reed coming up. It's not like that's a blitz.
That's right.
Here comes Ed Reed. I know he's coming. I'm just going to throw it over the top.
That's why
you know the play I'm talking about.
This was a fun conversation. I'm glad that we talked about it.
You can have your PFF. I'll take my PFK. Profred Kirsch. It's the new analytics.
I just think it's an interesting conversation.
Blitzes. We don't talk about blitzes.
His numbers are also highly
it's all
in question.
BPs, brought pressure.
This is what all of this is nowadays. Like most defenses nowadays are not giving up the numbers in coverage. Like they're not bringing the house anymore as often as they used to.
Yeah.
Unless it's week 1 and we did.
Well, yeah, but like
we did on that last play. Carlton Davis was the only guy back there.
Yeah, he's right. But now they're doing a lot more of these disguised pressures where we still really are getting to 6 or 7 guys in coverage, but who's dropping and who's blitzing is changing on the fly.
Who's coming?
Yeah, and so that's confusing. Who's rushing? Who's rushing?
All right.
How about that?
I gotta go. I have a meeting. I have to go.
BP brought pressure.
Good show. Good ending. I like it,
Mike. I like it.
I like it. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Turn the Page day. Catch 22 at
Tomorrow
10.
morning, yep.
Okay, so you'll warm up the crowd.
Yeah, and we'll get some more. I'm going to ask Barth if it's
you'll
a blitz
do what
or
you
not,
do, and we'll wake them up. All right.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.